This man divorced his wife because he said she was barren. 7 years of marriage. 7 years of blame. And he told the world she was defective. So when he planned the wedding of his upgrade, luxury resort, viral proposal, 300 guests, he did one final cruel thing. He invited his ex-wife front row so she could watch him win. But when she arrived, the wedding never happened. Because she didn't come alone. She stepped out of a matte black Cybertruck, holding the hands of 2 children. Twins. A boy. And a girl. The woman he called barren was never the problem. And what happened next, in front of every guest, every camera, and his new bride, destroyed his entire life in minutes. This isn't a revenge story. It's a vindication story. And by the end, you'll understand why God sometimes lets people walk away, just to expose the truth. Hello, family and besties. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 100 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these tales matter. Please subscribe to Lifetales by Sally, and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. In the glittering towers of downtown Miami, there lived a man named Damon Westbrook. At 34, Damon was everything Instagram promised success looked like. Luxury car dealership owner. Penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Biscayne Bay. Watches that cost more than most people's yearly salary. The kind of man who wore Tom Ford suits to brunch and made sure everyone knew it. His social media? Curated perfection. Private jets. VIP tables. Entrepreneur mindset quotes over sunset photos. But behind the highlight reel, behind the perfectly filtered life, there was a crack in Damon's empire that made him rage every single night. His wife, Sienna Montgomery Westbrook, had given him no children. Sienna was a different kind of beautiful. Not the Instagram model type Damon usually chased. She had natural hair she wore in twists, warm brown skin that glowed without filters, and eyes that held genuine kindness. A trait increasingly rare in Damon's world. She'd married him 7 years ago when he was still building his first dealership in Atlanta. Back then, he was humble, hungry, charming. He'd promised her the world. She'd believed him. For 7 years, she stood beside him. Cooked his meals. Managed his household. Attended every business dinner. Smiling through conversations with people who looked down on her. She handled his mother's passive-aggressive comments. She forgave his late nights and suspicious business trips. But those 7 years became a prison of waiting. Every month, hope. Every month, disappointment. Every month, the question hanging in the air like smoke. Why no baby yet? The night everything shattered, Miami penthouse. The argument that ended their marriage didn't start with shouting. It started with silence. Damon walked into their bedroom after another business dinner. Cologne mixed with expensive whiskey, his Rolex catching the light as he loosened his tie. Sienna sat on the edge of their California king bed, hands folded, already knowing what was coming. She'd heard him on the phone in the car. His voice carried through the garage. Yeah, man. 7 years. 7. And still nothing. At this point, I'm just wasting time. Sienna. Damon's voice cut through the silence like glass. We need to talk. She looked up slowly. About what? You know what? He threw his keys on the marble dresser, the sound echoing like a gunshot. How much longer are we going to pretend this is working? Pretend what's working, Damon? This. He gestured between them. This situation. 7 years, Sienna. 7 years of my life invested. And what do I have to show for it? No son to carry my name. No daughter to spoil. Nothing. Her voice stayed calm, but her hands trembled. We've been trying. Trying isn't producing results. Damon's volume climbed. Do you know what my boys say behind my back? Westbrook can't even get his woman pregnant. You know how that feels as a man? As a man. Sienna stood slowly. What about how it feels as a woman, Damon? You think I enjoy this? You think I don't cry myself to sleep wondering what's wrong with me? Maybe you should wonder harder. The words landed like a slap. Sienna's breath caught. What did you just say? Damon paced like a caged animal, his $3,000 shoes clicking against imported Italian tile. My mother warned me. She said your family had issues. But I didn't listen. I thought love would be enough. Your mother? Sienna's voice cracked. The same woman who told me I dress too African for your business events? The same woman who inspects my cooking like I'm a servant. Don't bring my mother into this. You just brought my family into it. Sienna's composure finally broke. For 7 years, I've dealt with her insults. Her suggestions about IVF. Her comments about what kind of woman can't perform her basic duty. And you never, not once, defended me. Damon's face hardened. Maybe because she's right. The room went cold. Sienna stared at the man she'd married, searching for any trace of the person who'd once held her hand and promised, for better or worse. "You're calling your own wife defective," she whispered. "I'm calling this situation exactly what it is. A waste of my prime years." He pulled out his phone, scrolling with deliberate cruelty. "I've already contacted Peterson and Associates. The divorce papers will be ready by Friday." Sienna felt the floor tilt. You already called a lawyer?" "This morning." No hesitation. No regret. "So this conversation, this wasn't even real. You've already decided." Damon looked at her the way someone looks at outdated furniture. "Sienna, you're a good person. But being good doesn't make babies. I need a wife who can give me a legacy. You're not her." She laughed, a broken, hollow sound. "A legacy? That's what I am to you. A legacy machine. You could have been more. If you'd done your job." The cruelty was surgical. Precise. Meant to destroy. Sienna walked to their closet, the one she'd organized just that morning, and pulled out a suitcase. Her hands shook so badly she could barely zip it. Damon watched, arms crossed. Not a flicker of doubt crossed his face. "Where will you go?" he asked, tone flat. "Does it matter to you?" "Not really. But for the lawyers, I need to know you have somewhere." Sienna stuffed clothes into the bag. Silk blouses he'd bought her, designer dresses for events she never wanted to attend, the life she'd tried so hard to fit into. She turned to face him one final time. "Damon, you're going to regret this." He smirked. "I doubt that. One day you'll see the truth. One day you'll understand exactly what you've done." "The truth?" Damon's laugh was sharp. "The truth is I wasted 7 years on someone who couldn't deliver. That's the only truth that matters." Sienna lifted her bag, walked past him, and paused at the bedroom door. "I loved you," she said softly. "I truly, genuinely loved you. I hope whoever comes next knows what that's worth." She walked out, through the living room with its abstract art and imported furniture, past the kitchen where she'd made him breakfast that very morning, down the private elevator to the parking garage. Damon didn't follow, didn't call out, didn't even watch from the window. As Sienna stepped onto the Miami streets at 11 p.m., her designer bag in one hand and her broken heart in the other, she whispered to the warm Florida night, "I may be leaving with nothing, but I won't stay broken. God will vindicate me." She had no idea how spectacularly right she would be. Sienna didn't know where the Uber was taking her that night. She just knew she couldn't stay in Miami, not in that city where everyone knew her as Damon's wife, where every restaurant held memories, where her failure was public entertainment. She called her college roommate, Jasmine Brooks, who'd moved to Atlanta 3 years prior. "Jazz, I need help." Jasmine didn't ask questions. "Send me your location. I'm coming to get you." By 2 a.m., Sienna was in Atlanta, crying on Jasmine's couch in a modest Buckhead apartment, worlds away from the Miami penthouse. "He threw you out." Jasmine held her friend, fury radiating. "After 7 years? Sienna, that man is going to hell in a gasoline suit. He said I'm defective, Jazz. He said I can't perform my basic duty. And did he ever get tested? Did he ever consider he might be the problem?" Sienna shook her head. "He refused. Said real men don't need tests. Said his bloodline is strong." Jasmine hissed through her teeth. "Pride before destruction. Watch what happens to him." Jasmine practically dragged Sienna to Dr. Imani Okonkwo, a fertility specialist who'd helped Jasmine's sister conceive after years of trying. Dr. Okonkwo was a Nigerian-American woman in her 50s with kind eyes and zero tolerance for medical misinformation. "Ms. Montgomery," she said gently, reviewing Sienna's file, "walk me through your fertility journey." Sienna explained everything. 7 years of trying. No medical intervention. Damon's refusal to get tested. His family's blame. The shame. Dr. Okonkwo listened, her expression growing darker with each detail. "And you've never had a comprehensive fertility evaluation?" "No, ma'am." Damon said it wasn't necessary. He said he knew the problem was me. The doctor removed her glasses slowly. "Ms. Montgomery, I need you to hear this very clearly. No man, and oh man, has the medical authority to diagnose you based on assumption. That's not how reproductive health works." Over the next week, Sienna underwent comprehensive testing. Blood work, ultrasounds, hormone panels. Each test felt like facing a verdict. When the results came back, Dr. Okonkwo called her into the office personally. Sienna, your reproductive system is completely healthy. Excellent ovarian reserve. Normal hormone levels. Regular ovulation. From a medical standpoint, there is absolutely nothing preventing you from conceiving. Sienna couldn't breathe. Nothing. Nothing. If there was infertility in your marriage, the issue was not on your end. The room spun. 7 years of blame. 7 years of shame. 7 years of believing she was broken. All lies. So Damon, your ex-husband should have been tested years ago, Dr. Okonkwo said firmly. Male factor infertility accounts for 40 to 50% of cases. But many men refuse testing because of ego. Sienna covered her face as tears poured. Relief. Rage. Vindication. Grief. All at once. Jasmine, who'd been waiting outside, rushed in. What happened? What did she say? I'm not broken, Sienna sobbed. Jazz, I was never broken. Atlanta became Sienna's healing ground. She started working with Jasmine's event planning company, Essence Affairs, coordinating weddings and corporate events. The irony wasn't lost on her, planning celebrations while her own life felt shattered. But slowly, imperceptibly, Sienna began rebuilding. She started therapy with Dr. Carmen Lewis, a Black woman psychologist in Midtown who specialized in trauma recovery. Your worth was never determined by your ability to produce children, Dr. Lewis told her during one session. And any man who made you feel otherwise revealed his own brokenness, not yours. Sienna joined a women's support group at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Heard stories of other women who'd survived divorce, rejection, public humiliation. Found strength in shared struggle. She took a creative writing class at Spelman College and began journaling her story, not for publication, but for processing. And on Sunday mornings, she'd sit in the back pew of church, hands lifted, tears streaming, whispering, "If you saw what he did to me, God, please vindicate me." Not for revenge, for truth. Sienna met Jordan Hayes at a corporate event she was coordinating for a tech startup in Pennsylvania. Jordan was the keynote speaker, a software engineer turned entrepreneur who'd built a cybersecurity firm from his Pittsburgh apartment. He was tall, with close-cropped hair, kind eyes, and an easy smile that didn't feel calculated. "This is incredible," he told Sienna after the event, gesturing at the venue she'd transformed. "You did all this?" "My team did. I just connected the dots." "That's leadership." He extended his hand. Jordan Hayes. Sienna Montgomery. They talked for 20 minutes. About event planning. About Pittsburgh. About his journey from software engineer to founder. He was refreshingly normal. No peacocking, no name-dropping, no designer labels as personality. Before leaving, he asked, "Would you be interested in planning my company's annual summit? We're hosting in Ohio next quarter." "I'd love to." "Great." He paused. "And maybe coffee sometime?" "Just to discuss the event, of course." Sienna smiled for the first time in months. Of course. Jordan didn't rush. Didn't pressure. Didn't treat Sienna like a conquest. He took her to dinner in Cleveland. Flew her to Toronto to meet his sister. Sent flowers to her Atlanta apartment with notes that said things like, "Thought of you today," instead of anything performative. When Sienna finally told him about Damon, they were sitting in a cafe in London during a work trip. "He divorced you because you didn't get pregnant. He said I was defective." Jordan set down his coffee carefully, jaw tight. "Did he ever get tested?" "No." He refused. "So he destroyed your marriage based on an assumption." Sienna nodded. Jordan reached across the table, taking her hand. "Sienna, I need you to hear this. You're not broken. You never were. And whatever happens with us, whether we last a lifetime or just this moment, I need you to know you're already whole." That's when Sienna knew she was falling in love again. Not with potential. Not with promises. But with a man who saw her worth without requiring proof. 9 months into their relationship, Jordan took Sienna to Sydney for a tech conference. On their last night, they walked along Bondi Beach at sunset. The sky was cotton candy pink, the waves gentle. "Sienna," Jordan stopped walking, turning to face her. "I know we've only known each other a year. I know you've been hurt. I know you might need more time." He knelt in the sand, pulling out a velvet box. "But I also know with absolute certainty that I want to spend my life making sure you never doubt your worth again. Will you marry me?" Sienna dropped to her knees, crying and laughing. "Yes. God, yes." They married 3 months later in a small ceremony in Norway. Jasmine officiated. Jordan's family flew in from Pittsburgh, and Sienna wore a dress the color of champagne. It was everything her first wedding wasn't: intimate, genuine, joyful. And 2 months after that, Sienna discovered something that would change everything. She was pregnant. "Ms. Hayes," the ultrasound tech said slowly, eyes widening at the screen. "I'm seeing 2 heartbeats." Sienna's hand flew to her mouth. "2? Yes, ma'am. Congratulations. You're having twins." Jordan, standing beside the examination table, let out a sound between a laugh and a sob. "Twins?" The tech smiled. "1 boy. 1 girl." Sienna wept. Deep, soul-cleansing tears. The woman Damon called barren was carrying twins, a son and a daughter. God hadn't just vindicated her. He'd doubled it. Sienna gave birth at Piedmont Atlanta Hospital on a Tuesday morning. Jordan Hayes Jr., 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Perfect. Zara Monroe Hayes, 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Beautiful. When they placed both babies on Sienna's chest, she looked up at Jordan and whispered, "We did it." "No," he corrected gently. "You did it. You're the miracle here." Jasmine posted a single photo on Instagram that went moderately viral. Sienna holding both twins, glowing with joy, caption reading, "God's timing is perfect." Her story isn't over, it's just beginning. The photo got 47,000 likes. One of those likes came from an account Sienna didn't recognize at @dwestbrook_official. Damon had seen it. Damon Westbrook was preparing for the wedding of the decade. After his divorce from Sienna, he'd cycled through 3 relationships, none lasting more than 8 months. His friends started joking that he was allergic to commitment. Then he met Lyric Fontaine, a 26-year-old influencer from Louisiana with 890K Instagram followers and a taste for luxury that matched his own. Lyric was everything Sienna wasn't: loud, flashy, performative. She posted their relationship constantly. Couple photos at Miami hotspots. "My king" captions. Public declarations. Damon ate it up. When he proposed at a Dolphins game, on the Jumbotron, with a ring that cost more than most cars, the video went viral. 2.3 million views. The comments: "She better give him kids this time, skull. His ex couldn't deliver, let's see if this one can. Upgrade unlocked fire." Damon saw every comment. Loved every comment. The wedding was scheduled for a beachfront resort in Miami. 300 guests. Live band flown in from Atlanta. Ice sculptures. Fireworks. The works. But Damon wanted one more thing to make it perfect. He wanted Sienna to witness it. "You want to invite your ex-wife?" Lyric stared at Damon like he'd suggested setting the venue on fire. "Trust me," Damon said, lounging on their penthouse couch. "It's strategic." "Strategic how?" "Sienna needs to see what she lost. She needs to see me thriving. Married to someone better. Someone who can actually—" He stopped himself. "Someone who can actually what, Damon?" "Nothing. Look, it's about closure. Showing her I've moved on." Lyric's eyes narrowed. "You're still thinking about her." "I'm thinking about my image. There's a difference." Against her better judgment, Lyric agreed. The invitation arrived at Sienna's Atlanta address 2 weeks later. Gold embossed. Expensive paper. Her name printed in elegant script. "You are cordially invited to witness the union of Damon Westbrook and Lyric Fontaine. Front row seating reserved." Jasmine saw it first and nearly tore it in half. "Is he insane?" "Sienna, please tell me you're not actually considering." "I'm going," Sienna said calmly, feeding Zara her bottle while Jordan Jr. played with blocks nearby. "You're what?" "I'm going to his wedding." "Why would you do that to yourself?" Sienna looked at her twins, beautiful, healthy, perfect. "Because he needs to see the truth." Jordan walked in from work, loosening his tie. "See what truth?" "That I was never the problem." Understanding dawned on Jordan's face. "You want to show him the twins." "I want to show him what God did when he walked away. Not to hurt him. To free myself." Jordan sat beside her, considering. "Are you sure?" "Completely." Jasmine threw her hands up. "This is either the most empowered thing you've ever done or the messiest. I can't decide which." Sienna smiled. "Maybe both." Sienna's plan wasn't about revenge. It was about revelation. She contacted Elise Chun, a luxury stylist in Miami she'd worked with during her event planning days. "Elise, I need something specific. Elegant. Powerful. Not flashy. I need to look like peace personified." Elise delivered. A champagne silk dress that draped like liquid gold. Simple. Stunning. The kind of outfit that whispers instead of shouts. For the twins, matching outfits, Jordan Jr. in a tiny cream suit, Zara in a champagne dress that matched Sienna's. The final piece, transportation. We're not showing up in a regular car, Jasmine declared. If you're doing this, we're doing it right. They rented a matte black Tesla Cybertruck, the $100,000 model with every upgrade. Futuristic. Impossible to ignore. The visual equivalent of, I've moved on to the future while you're stuck in the past. Sienna sat on her Atlanta balcony, watching the city lights, twins asleep inside. Jordan joined her, handing her chamomile tea. You nervous? Surprisingly, no. Sienna sipped slowly. I used to imagine this moment, seeing him again. I thought I'd feel angry or hurt. And now I just feel free. He has no power over me anymore. Tomorrow isn't about him. It's about closing a chapter. Jordan kissed her forehead. I'm proud of you. For what? For not letting him write the ending to your story. The venue was exactly what you'd expect from Damon. Excessive. White roses everywhere. Crystal chandeliers hanging from outdoor pergolas. A string quartet playing Vivaldi. Guests and designer everything, phones out, documenting every moment. The social media hashtag. Hashtag Westbrook Forever. Already trending in Miami. Damon stood at the altar in a custom white tuxedo, practically vibrating with pride. This was his moment. His redemption. His proof that he'd upgraded. He'd checked the RSVP list obsessively. Sienna had confirmed attendance. She's probably going to show up looking desperate, he'd told his best man, Trevor, that morning. Might even cry. But that's fine. Lyric needs to see what losing me looks like. Trevor had looked uncomfortable, but said nothing. The ceremony was set to start in 15 minutes. Guests were seated. The videographer had 4 cameras running. Lyric was in the bridal suite doing final touch-ups. That's when the sound started. A low, futuristic hum. Every head turned toward the entrance. A matte black Cybertruck rolled up to the venue. Angular, aggressive, impossible to miss. It looked like it had driven straight out of a science fiction film. The passenger door opened. Sienna stepped out. Champagne silk dress catching the Florida sun. Natural hair and goddess locks cascading down her back. Skin glowing like she'd been bathed in honey and peace. But it wasn't her that made the crowd gasp. It was the 2 children who climbed out after her. A little boy in a cream suit, holding her left hand. A little girl in a champagne dress, holding her right hand. Twins. The venue went silent. You could hear the ocean. Phones came out, not to record the ceremony, but to record this. Is that Sienna? Someone whispered. With kids? I thought she couldn't have children? That's what Damon said. The whispers spread like wildfire. Sienna walked slowly, gracefully, not rushing, not performing. Just existing in her truth. Jordan Jr. looked around, curious. Mommy, why is everyone staring? Because we're beautiful, baby, Sienna said softly. They walked to the front row, the seat Damon had reserved specifically for her, thinking she'd sit there broken and alone. Instead, she sat there whole, complete, surrounded by the life he said she'd never have. Damon couldn't breathe. His vision tunneled. This wasn't possible. Sienna. His Sienna. The woman he called defective. The woman he blamed. The woman he publicly humiliated. She had children. Twins. A boy and a girl. Everything he wanted. Everything he thought she couldn't give. Trevor grabbed his arm. Yo, D, you good? Damon's mouth moved, but no sound came out. The officiant cleared his throat. Shall we begin? But nobody was paying attention to the altar anymore. Every guest was staring at Sienna. At the twins. At the impossible truth sitting in the front row. Lyric was adjusting her veil when her maid of honor, Tasha, burst in, phone in hand. Girl, you need to see this. See what? I'm about to walk. His ex-wife just showed up. With twins. Lyric snatched the phone. There, on someone's Instagram story, was Sienna. Glowing. Holding 2 beautiful children. He told me she was barren, Lyric whispered. Clearly she's not. Lyric's hands started shaking. He lied to me. Looks like it. He blamed her. He said. Lyric stopped, realization flooding in. If she can have kids, that means. Tasha finished the thought. The problem was never her. Lyric looked at herself in the mirror. Expensive dress. Professional makeup. Perfect hair. But underneath all of it, a sinking feeling that she'd built her relationship on someone else's lie. We've been trying for 6 months, Lyric said quietly. Nothing. Lyric. He refuses to see a doctor. Says real men don't need tests. Sound familiar? Tasha said nothing. Lyric stood slowly, decision crystallizing. I need to talk to him. Now. You're supposed to walk in 5. Now. Lyric walked out before anyone could stop her. Still in her wedding dress. Veil trailing behind her. The guests turned confused. The ceremony hadn't started yet. She walked straight to Damon, who was still staring at Sienna like he'd seen a ghost. Damon. He turned slowly. Babe, what are you doing? You're supposed to. Who is that woman? Lyric's voice cut through the space. That's Sienna. I told you about. You told me she was barren. You said she couldn't have children. You said that's why you divorced her. The microphone on the officiant's podium was still on. Lyric's voice carried across the entire venue. Every guest froze. Damon's face drained of color. Lyric, we can talk about this later. No. Lyric stepped closer, voice rising. We'll talk now. Because that woman, the one you called defective, just walked in with 2 children. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone in the back whispered, "Oh my God, this is better than reality TV." Phones were recording everything now. Damon tried to lower his voice. Lyric, please. Did you lie to me? Tears started streaming down her face, ruining her makeup. Did you blame her for something that was your fault? I didn't know. You didn't know because you refused to get tested. Lyric's voice broke. Just like you refused to get tested now. The crowd erupted in whispers. Sienna sat motionless in the front row, not gloating, not speaking, just existing as living proof. Lyric turned to face the guests, addressing them directly. We've been trying for 6 months. 6 months. And every time I suggested we see a doctor, he said no. He said real men don't need tests. He said if there was a problem, it was probably me. Lyric, you're embarrassing yourself. Damon reached for her arm. She yanked away. I'm embarrassing myself? You invited your ex-wife to our wedding to humiliate her, and she showed up with proof that you're a liar. The officiant backed away slowly, clearly not paid enough for this. Trevor tried to intervene. Yo, everyone, let's just take a breath. Did you get tested, Damon? Lyric demanded. After your divorce. Did you ever actually find out if you were the problem? Silence. Damon's jaw clenched. Answer me. No, he finally said quietly. I didn't. The gasps turned into full conversation now. The wedding was over. The show had begun. Lyric looked at him. Really looked at him. For the first time seeing past the cars, the money, the image. You destroyed that woman's life, Lyric said, voice trembling. You made her believe she was broken. You divorced her. You publicly humiliated her. And the whole time, you were the one with the problem. We don't know that. Yes, we do. Lyric screamed. She has twins. What more proof do you need? Damon looked desperately toward Sienna. Sienna, please. Sienna stood slowly, holding both her children's hands. The entire venue went silent. She looked at Damon, not with hatred, not with triumph, just with calm truth. Damon, her voice was steady, clear. For 7 years, you made me believe I was defective. You called me cursed. You told me I couldn't perform my basic duty. You divorced me and left me with nothing. She paused, letting it sink in. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here so you can see the truth. I was never the problem. And you need to stop blaming women for your own refusal to face reality. She looked at Lyric with genuine compassion. I hope you find peace, whatever you decide. Then Sienna turned, picked up Zara, took Jordan Jr.'s hand, and walked back toward the Cybertruck. Every camera in the venue followed her exit. She didn't look back. By the time Sienna's Cybertruck reached the Miami city limits, the videos were already viral. #Westbrook wedding disaster was trending nationwide. Twitter exploded. She pulled up in a Cybertruck with twins. That's the most legendary ex-wife energy I've ever seen. He really invited her to rub his new marriage in her face, and she said, hold my vindication skull. So he blamed her for 7 years, and it was him the whole time? Men are trash. The way she just existed and destroyed his whole wedding without saying a word. Queen behavior. The YouTube commentary channels picked it up within hours. Instagram gossip pages. TikTok breakdowns. Within 48 hours, Sienna's revenge was the #1 trending story on social media. Interviews requested from The Breakfast Club, Red Table Talk, major news outlets. Sienna declined them all. I'm not interested in fame, she told Jasmine. I got my piece. That's enough. Damon sat alone in his penthouse, watching his world collapse in real time. Lyric had left, packed her things, and flew back to Louisiana without a word. Half his business partners had quietly distanced themselves. His Instagram, once flooded with admiration, was now a war zone of criticism. Bro really blamed his wife for his infertility clown face. The audacity to invite her to rub it in, and she showed up with the life he said she couldn't have. Damon Westbrook is what happens when ego meets karma. He'd lost 90K followers in 3 days. Worse than the social media fallout was the business impact. 2 major dealership contracts pulled out, citing values misalignment. His mother, who'd been so quick to blame Sienna, now refused his calls. And the final blow, Trevor sent him a medical article. Male factor infertility. Why testing matters. Attached message. Bro, you need to read this. And you need to make this right. Damon finally did what he should have done 7 years ago. He got tested. The results came back in 72 hours. Dr. Marcus Preston, a urologist in his 60s, delivered the news with professional gentleness. Mr. Westbrook, your test results show severely low sperm count and poor motility. This level of infertility is typically caused by a past untreated infection, likely from years ago. Damon's world tilted. So, I'm the reason. Based on these results, yes. Natural conception would be extremely unlikely without intervention. Damon stared at the medical report, the words blurring. 7 years. 7 years of blame. 7 years of destroyed trust. 7 years of making Sienna feel worthless. And it was him all along. Can it be treated? He asked weakly. There are options, IVF, medication, lifestyle changes. But Mr. Westbrook, I have to ask, did you ever test during your previous marriage? No. Dr. Preston removed his glasses. I see cases like this more often than you'd think. Men who assume, who refuse testing because of pride, who blame their partners. It destroys marriages, families' lives. I destroyed mine, Damon whispered. Then the question is, what will you do with that knowledge now? Damon spent 3 days writing it. Rewording. Deleting. Starting over. Finally, he sent it via certified mail to Sienna's Atlanta address. Sienna, I don't expect you to read this. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even deserve a response. I got tested. You were right. It was me. It was always me. For 7 years, I made you believe you were broken. I called you defective. I blamed you for something that was my fault. I let my pride destroy the best thing in my life. You begged me to get tested. You suggested we try together. I refused because I was too arrogant to consider I might be the problem. Seeing you at the wedding, seeing those beautiful children, broke something in me. Not because I'm jealous, though I am, but because I finally understood what I did to you. I stole 7 years of your peace. I made you doubt your worth. I publicly humiliated you, and you did nothing to deserve any of it. I don't expect you to care about my regret. I don't expect sympathy. I just needed you to know you were never the problem. I was. And I'm sorry I made you carry my shame. I hope your husband knows how lucky he is. I hope your children grow up knowing how strong their mother is. I hope you never doubt your worth again. I'm sorry isn't enough. But it's all I have. Damon. Sienna received the letter 2 weeks later. She read it once, sitting on her Atlanta balcony while Jordan fed the twins inside. Then she folded it carefully and placed it in a drawer. Jasmine, who was visiting, asked, "What are you going to do with it?" "Nothing," Sienna said simply. "It's not for me. It's for him." "You're not going to respond?" "What would I say? I've already moved on. He's the one who needs to do the work now." Jasmine studied her friend. "You've really let it go, haven't you?" "Completely." Sienna smiled. "My peace isn't tied to his remorse anymore." That's freedom. Sienna and Jordan moved to a beautiful home in Ohio, close to Jordan's company headquarters, with a backyard big enough for the twins to run wild. She launched Renaissance Events, her own luxury event planning firm, specializing in weddings. The irony wasn't lost on her. The woman whose marriage ended in humiliation now created beautiful beginnings for others. Her first viral client testimonial. Sienna doesn't just plan weddings. She plans redemption stories. The business took off. Clients from Louisiana, Pennsylvania, even international requests from London and Toronto. Jordan Jr. started preschool, already showing signs of his father's analytical mind. Zara had her mother's quiet strength and devastating smile. On Sundays, they'd attend New Hope Community Church in Columbus, where Sienna sometimes shared her testimony. "I spent 7 years believing I was broken," she'd tell the congregation. "But God was just waiting to show me I was always whole." The wilderness wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Standing ovations every time. Damon sold the Miami penthouse. Too many memories. Too much emptiness. He moved to a modest condo in Atlanta, ironically, the same city where Sienna had rebuilt. His business stabilized, but the shine was gone. He was no longer the flashy entrepreneur. Just a man trying to rebuild credibility. He started therapy with Dr. William Chen, a psychologist specializing in male ego and accountability. "Why do you think you refused testing?" Dr. Chen asked during their first session. "Because, if I was the problem, that meant I wasn't perfect. And I built my whole identity on being perfect. And now I know perfection is a prison." Damon began doing something he'd never done before: actual community work. He started volunteering at a men's health nonprofit, sharing his story anonymously, encouraging young men to get tested early, to communicate with partners, to choose humility over ego. "I destroyed my marriage because I was too proud to admit I might need help," he'd tell groups. "Don't be me." He dated occasionally, but nothing serious. Most women Googled him, found the viral wedding disaster, and politely declined second dates. He understood why. Sienna was in Atlanta for a wedding expo, setting up her Renaissance events booth. Damon was there too, attending a business networking session in the adjacent hall. They saw each other across the convention center. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Damon walked over slowly, cautiously. "Sienna." "Damon." Silence. "You look happy," he said quietly. "I am." "The twins. Growing too fast." She smiled genuinely. "Jordan Jr. just started reading. Zara's already bossing everyone around." Damon laughed softly. "She gets that from you." Another pause. "I got your letter," Sienna said. "I didn't expect a response." "I'm not responding to the letter. I'm responding to you, right now, standing here." Damon waited. "I forgive you," Sienna said simply. His eyes widened. "You what?" "I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. Not because your apology was perfect. But because holding on to it was keeping me tied to the past. I'm free now. And I want to stay free." Damon's voice cracked. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. Just learn from it. Be better for the next person." She extended her hand. "I hope you find peace, Damon. I really do." He shook her hand, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you." Sienna nodded, turned, and walked back to her booth. No drama. No scene. Just closure. 3 years later, present day. Sienna's update. Renaissance Events is now a multi-million-dollar company with offices in Ohio, Atlanta, and Miami. Sienna wrote a book, From Barren to Blessed, a story of vindication. It became a bestseller, particularly among women navigating divorce, infertility, and rebuilding. She's been invited to speak at conferences worldwide: Ghana, South Africa, the Philippines, Switzerland, Norway. Her message is always the same. Your worth is not determined by what others say about you. It's determined by who you choose to become after they're wrong. The twins are now 5. Jordan Jr. wants to be an astronaut. Zara wants to be a queen who also builds robots. Sienna and Jordan renewed their vows in Toronto last year. Intimate, joyful, surrounded by family. Jasmine is godmother to the twins and COO of Renaissance Events. Dr. Imani Okonkwo is still Sienna's doctor and close friend. And every year on the anniversary of her divorce, Sienna writes a gratitude list. This year's #1 item: thank you for the closed door. The open one was so much better. Damon's update. Damon never remarried. He's been in therapy for 3 years and calls it the most important work I've ever done. He started a nonprofit, the Westbrook Foundation for Men's Health, focusing on fertility testing, mental health, and accountability. He's spoken at colleges, churches, and men's conferences about pride, ego, and the cost of refusing help. His business recovered, though he's no longer chasing the spotlight. He volunteers weekly at a youth mentorship program in Atlanta, teaching young men what he wishes someone had taught him. He's dated a few women, but remains single. "I'm not ready," he tells his therapist. "I'm still learning how to be a man worth building with." Last month, he attended Sienna's book launch event in Atlanta. She'd invited him, not as a guest of honor, but as proof of redemption. He sat in the back listening to her story, their story, told with grace, truth, and zero bitterness. When she mentioned him by name, she said, "Damon taught me that sometimes God uses our worst pain to reveal our greatest purpose. I wouldn't be here without that journey." After the event, they spoke briefly. "I'm proud of you," he told her. "I'm proud of you too," she replied. for doing the work. They hugged, not as former lovers, not as enemies, but as two people who'd survived the same storm and come out changed. If you're watching this and you've been called not enough, not fertile enough, not successful enough, not worthy enough, I need you to hear me. You are not the problem. Sometimes God removes people from your life not as punishment, but as protection. Sometimes the door that slams in your face is actually redirecting you to the palace you were always meant to enter. My story isn't special. What's special is the God who saw my tears, heard my prayers, and said, "Watch what I'm about to do." Don't give up in your wilderness season. Your Cybertruck moment is coming. We've traveled through the savannah of the mind today. If this tale shifted your perspective, honor the tradition by hitting the subscribe button and notification bell. ASLO share for wider reach. In our next session, we uncover new captivating story. Don't let the trail go cold. Cheers.